Hello?
Hey, what's up? What do you want to talk about?
You said Christianity makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
The Trinity doesn't make sense. The hypostatic union doesn't make any sense, and there's a big problem of evil.
I don't think so.
All right, which one do you want to talk about?
The problem of evil?
All right, is God opposed to evil?
I think so.
All right, being opposed to evil means that you want to eliminate it, right?
Being opposed to evil is being opposed to God, because God is good.
Okay, being opposed to something means you want to get rid of it, right?
Yeah.
All right, so if God's opposed to evil, he wants to get rid of it, right?
Yeah, but what do you mean? Evil doesn't have ontology.
Fine. All right. It doesn't. You can get. My room is cold. I can get rid of the coldness. That makes sense, even though it doesn't have ontology. You can get rid of cold. You're not committed to saying that there's a thing called cold, so that doesn't work.
Well, it does work.
No. If someone, would you understand someone if they said, "I need to get rid of the cold"? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, they'd be like, "Damn, I need to get rid of this coldness, man. Let me replace
Right. Even though it doesn't. Oh, is this Pope? Don't do this to me, Pope.
I'm sorry. Yeah, how did you notice me?
Thank God for my chat.
I was trolling, bro. My bad. Yo, why do they?
I'm trying to talk to you about it, but I mean,
no, I'm trolling, bro.
If I don't know, if I prefer to know, if I know that I know you, I prefer to know that I'm talking.
No, I know. I was just trolling. I was trying to take a dump to the. You know what I was gonna say? I was gonna start talking about axioms and stuff, and just saying it's just evident.
Oh, I gotta hit you right now. You're oh my out. Pope's very respectful to me on other Christian lives, so I didn't want to get feisty. Or what's up, Ronnie? You a Christian?
What's up? I am. Can you actually hear me? Is this thing actually happening?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, first of all, I guess I'd probably say evil, but I just want to let you know, man. Like, I'm not here to condemn you. I'm not here to say anything bad about you. But I'm curious just to hear what you have to say, man. So.
Okay. Have we talked before?
You and I? No, never. I'm not used to doing these.
Is this your first time on the TikTok Live?
Yeah, man. I'm usually never on these TikTok Lives. I've just been scrolling through and I was like, okay, this looks interesting. I've just been listening for like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's your first time. I'll be gentle, all right? You're a Christian. What kind of Christian are you?
I'm non-denominational. I came to faith like a year ago.
A year ago?
Yeah.
I feel like I've talked to you again, but okay. And what brought you to Christianity?
What brought me to Christianity? Long story short, I had a brother who passed away when I was, he was 25, I was 20, and it just kind of screwed with my head. Yeah. Just had a lot of questions, started getting curious. I got an uncle who was Catholic, and he just kind of helped me through it, and the gears started turning from there,
So a Catholic helped you become Protestant?
I don't know. Catholic helped me answer questions, I guess. I was like, why did this happen? And I needed to kind of talk to him to make it make sense in my own head. And it still probably doesn't.
Well, first of all, you brought up your loss. How comfortable are you talking about your loss in the context of whether Christianity is true or false, or the problem of evil? Like, should we bring up a different example?
No, I'm happy to talk about it. He was a great dude, and I'm happy to talk about it.
Okay, yeah. If you get uncomfortable, let me know. So you had a loss, and you were wondering why, and this Catholic explained to you why, and then you became a Christian.
Essentially, the gears started turning there. I actually didn't start going to church until like a year ago because people started inviting me to church and I didn't understand why. But up until basically we had a conversation, then fast forward like 5-6 years, I was stagnant. And then things just kind of started to pick up like a year or two ago for, I don't know why. I just kept getting invited to church.
So do you know why God allowed your loss?
Do I know why God allowed? No, I don't think anyone does. I mean, I'm not in his inner circle, so I really have no idea. I can guess, but I definitely don't know.
What questions did you ask this Catholic exactly?
I just kind of asked him why, kind of the same thing you're asking, like, why do you think this happened? Because I was like, he's such a good guy. Why would God take him away? Like, I was like, take me. If you're going to take somebody, take me. He's a way better person than I am. And that's just who I turned to, because he was the most faithful person in our family. So I came to him for answers.
Okay, but it seems like you didn't have an answer because you don't have an answer.
Yeah, he basically said the answer is I don't know. He's like, God's ways are higher than our ways. There's a reason that I just don't know. And I think that was an honest answer for him, because I wouldn't expect. I mean, it'd be kind of crazy to be like, oh yeah, what the answer is, So I just took it and was like, yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense that you don't know, but it didn't really make me feel any better. I mean, but it kind of did in a way, because I was like, well, I was kind of looking for an answer, and the fact that I didn't get one was like, okay, maybe there's not an answer for this.
If I lost a loved one like that, because I have a brother myself who's 5 years apart, we're 4.5 years apart. And I asked a believer, why did this happen? Right. And he said, I don't know. I'd be like, okay, that religion doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. I don't know. I just never saw it that way. I just thought I don't know. It'd be crazy for anyone, I feel like, to be like, oh yeah, this is what God is thinking when he's doing this. Like, I'm not in his inner circle. I'm not going to try to ascertain or pretend like I know his plan. He's up to some stuff that I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I was like, look, man, you shouldn't have taken this guy away, but.
Yeah, so then why did you become a Christian? It wasn't what the Catholic said, because the Catholic didn't give you anything, right?
No, not at all. Nah. But he wanted to help out.
So what made you a Christian? What got you on board?
Basically, so I was raised Jewish. I got a crazy story. I was raised Jewish. My whole family is Jewish. So I was raised to believe in God, not Jesus. We didn't know. They didn't talk about Jesus at school. It was like taboo, like Santa Claus. Like they didn't talk about him. And then I realized the reason they didn't talk about him was because obviously in the Bible, the Jews kill him. So I didn't really connect those dots until later. I got invited to church by my cousin, who is
the Romans killed him. Maybe at the request of the Jews, but the Romans killed him.
Yeah. Jews were involved. It's just it's a dark mark, right, for the Jews to like talk about it, basically. But the Catholic son, so this is my uncle, right? His son, my cousin lives in Dallas. He invited me to church when I was with him and his fiance. I was like, okay, whatever, I'll go. So I went. Then about 5 months later, another buddy of mine invites me to church in Austin, Texas. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? Why are these people inviting me to church? And I just kind of leaned in. I found a really good community there. And
what did you hear? I'm asking, what did you hear? I'm like, I need to be a Christian. I should be a Christian now. Like, what did you hear?
Yeah, for me, it wasn't hearing. It was more of just like the vibe and the energy that these people had, and I wanted to be a part of it.
So you became a Christian off the feels.
Yeah, I'd probably say so. I became a Christian based off of how I saw other people living. I thought they had a certain sense of freedom, and I kind of got curious to figure out what was I missing, because I was just really unhappy. And I just connected that way.
All right. So then you wouldn't really say that Christianity is true. It's just a feeling.
Well, I've done a lot of, basically, over the last year, I've read a lot of the Bible. Like, I've watched The Chosen. Like, I've done a lot of, way more research.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah, way more. I'm just saying, like, I've leaned into my faith over the last year in ways that I hadn't before. And so I feel like I know things now that I didn't know before.
Okay, why did Jesus die for you?
Jesus died for my sins, basically. So I have a shot at salvation. This is what the Bible says, right? It's just
right, so the point is that there's something wrong. You're a sinner. What is Jesus' death? How does that fix that?
By Jesus dying on the cross, it implies that before Jesus died, like Old Testament, like if you were to have sinned, you were screwed, right?
Imagine this. So I'm married, okay?
Yeah.
And let's say, God forbid, I cheat on my wife.
Correct.
And she said, wow, you've wronged me, but I have a solution. She cuts off her hand and then magically reattaches it and then says, we're good now, so long as you believe that I just did that. I cut off my hand, I sacrificed my hand and then reattached it. Now we're good. So it's okay. You cheated on me, but you have a clean slate now. What do you think about that story?
I think that's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, her cutting off her hand.
That's how I see Christianity. There's Jesus. There's a sense in which Jesus is part of God, right? Mm-hmm. He's cut off. He's crucified for 3 days, reattached. Okay, and now we're good as long as you believe that.
Okay, I want to talk. So let's talk about this for a second, because the thing, honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, Danny. The three things you mentioned, the evil thing would probably be the one I'd be best able to talk to you about, because like the other stuff.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the hand thing, it's a hypothetical scenario, right? So what is the question that we're trying to get at here, I guess?
The point is that it seems, so if I've wronged my wife like you've wronged God, okay, God's solution is to torture a part of himself, right? And to nail it on a cross, bleeding for days or hours, whatever, and then be dead for 3 days, and then reattach himself to his body. And then as long as you believe that happened, you're on the way, you're on the road to heaven. Okay?
That part I'm not sure I agree with. That part I don't agree with.
Wait. So what part?
So when you said believe, see that a lot of cultural Christians will use that word, and
Okay, I'll change it. Faith. Let's just change it. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'd say it's better, because believing is more about a way of life.
Fine. Get rid of the term faith. Okay, as long as you have faith that Jesus did all of that, was nailed to a cross and suffered greatly,
right,
but then reattached himself to his body after 3 days.
Yep.
That as long as you have faith in that, that makes you good with God. That's like with my wife. If I cheated on my wife, she cuts off her hand. Okay, 3 days. She reattaches it. So long as I have faith and her love for me and what she did for me, that her sacrifice that she did for 3 days, I'm good with her.
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous, right?
To me, that's how Christianity is.
I get it. No, listen, and I hope that you know, Danny, that like I am not mad at you or condemn you, and you have every right to feel the way that you feel. It's kind of a crapshoot.
Well, you don't think
right?
it's like the hand. You don't think it's like the analogy.
What's that?
You don't think it's like my wife's analogy. You don't think it's like
the wife, because that's obviously a theoretical situation. Plus, no one can actually cut off their hand and reattach it. You know what I mean? Like,
I think people have reattached hands before. You can actually freeze it.
Oh, jeez. Damn. Okay. If it's okay, I really would love to talk to you about the evil thing. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
Okay. So you were talking to this guy earlier, and it was about like, is illness good, right? You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously illness is bad, right? We all know that like getting sick is it's not a good, no one's excited to get sick, right? So what I was hearing from you is like, how can this all powerful God be working for good if he's allowing illness in the world?
Well, does he want the illness?
Does he want the illness? I would say that what if he wanted an illness because it was somehow going to create something better? Like, let's say, and it's a not good way of thinking, but let's just say you got sick and your mom is let's just say she's a yoga teacher. I don't know, I'm just making this up. And then you get cancer, and then somehow she gets inspired to be like the foremost, I don't know, leader again in cancer research, and ends up saving millions of lives. Like, God forbid that has to happen in order for that to happen, but perhaps he had this other plan in place that by you getting sick, it's going to inspire this person to go do this, and that's going to save millions of lives or whatever it is. It just sounds bad because it makes you kind of sad.
Yeah. You're saying, what if God used illness as an instrument for good?
Correct. Yeah.
Why couldn't he use anything else other than something bad for that to accomplish the same thing? He's powerful enough, right?
Absolutely. He could, Okay,
so then if you're a God that prefers to use illness to accomplish an end rather than happiness to accomplish an end, right, euphoria or whatever, then it seems like you're a God that is indifferent to people suffering to illness.
Do you want to say he prefers it or, allows it?
Well, he could be indifferent or even prefers it, yeah. It's worse if he prefers it.
Yeah, obviously it's worse if he prefers it. I don't think he it's like, I think so many people are kind of caught up on this, like, okay, well, why don't we live in this amazing world? We have this amazing God who supposedly is all good, right? He wants to work for good. Like, if he's so good, why do you have cancer? Why are kids getting shot that are innocent? All this.
But my question is a little bit more pointed. Okay, the point is that God has a goal. He can use anything to accomplish that goal.
Yeah. What do you think his goal is?
Now, he could use Teletubbies. He could use euphoric feelings and sensations. He could use cancer. He could use, I don't know, the Yellow Brick Road. He could use anything.
Yeah.
Okay. But out of all these options, he chose cancer. He could have chosen Teletubbies.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't get it.
I know, and I get that. It really doesn't make a lot of sense. The only thing I would say to you is, I guess that's kind of where faith comes in. And it might seem ridiculous to someone else to be like, dude, you're out of your mind. And maybe, but here's what I tell everybody, Danny. Like, let's say everything you're saying is true. There's no God, there's no any of this. And I die. I'm like, look, I lived a good life. I had a good blueprint. I treated people right way. Like, that's pretty admirable. I can hang my hat on that. But if you're wrong and I'm right, I lose nothing. You lose everything. So for me, it's like...
Yeah, but if we're both wrong and the Muslim is right, we're both in it.
I guess so. Yeah, I've never really thought of it that way.
Is that a reason for us to become Muslim?
I mean, I think everyone wants to know who's right. You know what I mean? And we're never going to get that.
That's not very forceful when I can create the exact same scenario for you. That if you don't recant Christianity, right, you're risking eternal hellfire from a different religion like Islam.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong. You know what I mean? Right. If the Muslims are right, I'm going to hell.
Yes, but you see that it's not interesting to point that out. We're not going to change our views because of that.
Right. You're absolutely right, man. It's just for me. Listen. It's something positive that brings positivity in my life. And if I'm wrong about it,
I support that. Yeah. If you're a better person, a happier person, I support you. Be a Christian, right? Sure. But I don't have issues with people's religions inspiring them to be a better person or better other people. I don't have issues with that.
Absolutely, brother.
With that, I think it's a pretty good. I'm going to move on. All right.
I agree. I appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
Take care, Ryan. What's up, Danny?
How we doing, Danny?
I'm okay. What do you want to talk about?
Dude, to be real, I'm just more curious about like your story. Like, what got you to the point where like you believe what you do?
Essentially, at issue things related to the problem of evil and the omnipotence paradox got me started on this sort of journey, and then now I'm where I'm at.
Okay. It wasn't like anything like super bad happened to you or like any resentment?
I've had an incredibly privileged life.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a blessing. I'm happy for you for that. So you started this live. I see Christianity makes no sense. Is that kind of like, is that what you're arguing? Is that your viewpoint or what?
Well, I usually talk about three things. I talk about the problem of evil, Trinitarianism, hypostatic union, but I'm willing to talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Sure. I mean, dude, I'm a Christian, believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. He died for me, rose again on the third day. Because of that, my sins are forgiven. But dude, I completely agree with you. Like the idea, like the essence of like Christianity, like it really doesn't make sense. I mean, we're just humans at the end of the day, right?
I'm saying it's logically incoherent.
Okay, I get you. So yeah, I guess you could try and break it down into like argument by argument. You can try and disprove it. Like I get that. Like I did, to be real. I was watching a live from it was this Muslim, and he was like, I'll give $1,000 to anyone who can prove the Trinity. Right? Anyone who popped on there. What was that?
Mobiano. That was the name of the Muslim you watched.
Gotcha. But yeah, it was just pretty interesting because I think that anybody can come up with an argument to, justify their way of thinking or not. So I think like more of it, I kind of just want to ask you, have you ever like tried to have like a relationship with God?
I was a Christian for probably longer than you've been alive. Okay.
I mean, dude, what was like your, like, what's kind of like the story there? Because if you're a Christian and, you refute that, like, that's obviously something pretty big has to happen, right?
I told you.
I mean, it was just like your issues with like evil and everything.
That's where it started.
That's where it started. And then that kind of just like led you down a rabbit hole, one thing after another.
There you go.
Dude, I hear you. I hear you. I mean, dude, I'll be real. I went to like a private Christian school. I grew up in the church and everything. And dude, I ended up going to a high school that wasn't like a Christian high school whatsoever. Got exposed to a lot of bad things there. And that really made me question, like, I don't know, there was a lot of bad things that happened in my life, just one thing after another. And I was like, dude, I've known and I've learned about this loving God my whole life, that he loves me so much. But like, how could he, let this happen to me? Is that kind of like the same place that you were at?
Right now?
No, that you were like at one point that started leading you down that path?
No.
Or what was it? Like, what was like the question that you were asking?
There's the logical problem of evil, right? The logical problem of evil, everything could be in principle desirable to me and there still be a problem.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're basically saying that like there's a problem with your human nature on what it desires.
No, that whatever, it doesn't matter what the world looks like. On Christianity, if God's omnipotent
Sure.
and he desires something, he just gets it.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Do you think that applies like just here on earth, or do you think that applies to like him in heaven?
It's a principle. Whatever God wants, he gets, because there are no limits to his power.
Okay, but so if I want something, I have to have the action of going and getting it, correct? So there's a step between
Maybe you and
wanting
I, but maybe you and I,
something.
but God's not that way.
I mean, just because he's all powerful, that still means that he has to follow like the logical steps of making something happen. Is that correct?
No, not the causal steps. There are no logical steps to causation, I suppose.
Gotcha. I'll be real. My vocabulary is not quite as diverse as yours, so I appreciate.
Like if God wants a car, like a brand new electric car, does he need an assembly line?
But would that car like have to be made in order for him to get? Yeah, I totally see your point there. But like, would that car even like exist like where he's at? Is my question. Like, why? I don't know. It just seems like an interesting like. It's just an interesting question. I like it. That's a good question. It's just like it makes you wonder. Like,
He doesn't need anything to get what he wants. In fact, the second that he wants it, right, he's going to get it. There's nothing preventing him from failing.
So would you say that like God wants you?
According to Christianity?
No, I mean, just like, do you believe that God wants you? Because your belief matters more than
You
what like,
understand I'm an atheist. You understand I'm an atheist.
So you don't believe that there is a God at all?
Right. It'd be like sort of, do you think that Voldemort wants the Horcruxes or whatever, we don't believe in Voldemort. It's a weird question for someone that doesn't believe in Voldemort.
Gotcha. So how did you get to that point of being a Christian and then believing that there's no God whatsoever, not being agnostic, not knowing?
I told you.
So you going down that list of conclusions led you to the point that you believe that there is no God?
Yeah, and people helped me along the way, but yeah.
Huh. Interesting. That's just interesting to me. It's hard to... So did you ever have like any like transformative experiences or anything like while you were like still a Christian?
It's easy. Like when I heard music, I felt a certain way. In fact, guys, y'all are about to cringe. Okay. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm like this, but when I was little, right, we sang this, the song, God is an Awesome God.
Oh yeah, dude. I know that one.
Okay. I grew up singing that song, right? And I still like that song up until today. Okay. And I listened to it, unironically, a new version of it yesterday. And I liked it. Okay. It's a good song. I like it. I think the arrangement is good. And I felt a certain way. In fact, I felt very similar to how when I was a Christian. So music, experiences, we can have strange sensations, but am I going to cash it out to divine intervention? No.
So, that's interesting. Wow. So do you give so who do you where does the credit of like creation, where does that get given? Who does that get given to?
By creation, you mean the universe?
Yeah. Just like everything in existence.
Well, I'm not so sure if it was created or caused, is what you mean? I suppose.
Well, I just mean, like, where does the credit go? Like, I mean, it had to come about like some way.
No, I don't think there's a cause to causal reality.
It just was, like, it just existed, or
No. It doesn't make sense to say that there's a cause to causal reality. It would be a contradiction, because a cause to causal reality would belong to the reality that it caused, and you couldn't have self-causation.
yeah, it's a contradiction. I hear you.
Right. So I don't think causal reality is caused.
Gotcha. So are you kind of like give that, like, you can make that same argument for God, like, okay, who created God? Oh, he was just there. Like, is that, like, do you have a problem with that, or what?
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
I mean, as in, like, coherently, like, if someone says God has always existed, I don't have a logical issue with that. Just like people shouldn't have a logical issue with saying that the universe or something like it has always existed. The natural world, you might say.
I hear you. I mean, dude, to be real, it sounds like, it just does not sound like a fun way to live, like being an atheist. Like, I couldn't imagine like being an atheist. I mean, like, I don't know. It feels like,
What do I do that you don't? What do you do that I don't do that I'm missing out on?
I mean, I don't think it's anything that I particularly do, because everyone likes their own things to do. That's just
So then why do you say?
something different than I do. Like, I'm not saying that your life is.
But I'm not missing anything, Daniel. You're not doing anything that I'm jealous of.
I mean, I think that there may be experiences that you're missing out
What
on.
experiences? The experiences of what?
I mean, dude, anyone in here who's a Christian that has like experienced like the presence of God, that is life changing. Like that.
I can talk to the mushroom heads, and they probably have something, a competitor to what you have.
I mean, dude, you're saying that I haven't been there. Like, dude, we could both have that.
That's my point. And just like Flinster was saying, I was a Christian. I had all these, I had the vibes, I had the feels.
I mean,
Sure.
Did you have the Holy Spirit?
Well, what do you think an atheist is going to say to that, Daniel?
I mean, to be real, you were a Christian before you're an atheist. So I think that like you definitely like you could have had the Holy Spirit at one point.
I don't believe in the Holy Spirit, Daniel.
But you did at one point, did you not?
I used to believe that.
Okay.
But I don't anymore. I think I was wrong. I currently think that Christian Danny was really, really, really wrong.
Which version of you did you like better?
I like this version.
Why is that?
Oh, I didn't have to wrestle with guilt for stupid shit. I could watch Game of Thrones and not think I'm doing wrong. You know how annoying that is? Also, one of the things I do not miss that a lot of people that were Christian do not miss. I remember going out in public, looking around, and being anxious about the lost souls. Every soul I saw, I was wondering, are you going to burn eternally? What can I do to prevent that? And being powerless to prevent that was terrible feeling. So there are a lot of feelings I don't miss.
I mean, if we just go to that example, I really like how you mentioned that. It's like going into public, like, dude, I experience this as well. I'll go to the store and let's say I look at somebody, I'm like, dude, like, is this person going to heaven? Or are they going to hell?
Exactly that. And it bothered me that either I didn't know or that if it was likely that they weren't, that I couldn't do anything about it.
Dude, I've even felt that like about my own family members. Like, imagine looking at like
I do not miss it, Daniel. I do not miss it.
And to be real, bro, that's not a pleasant feeling. It's really not.
Don't miss that at all. Do not miss it.
Did so you're saying that you felt like powerless when you were put in that situation?
Absolutely. I mean, what am I going to do? Do what the Mormons do? That does the opposite effect.
I mean, to be real, let's say this, like, dude, if I had a friend, and let's say I had a friend growing up, I spent every single day with them, and I didn't know whether they were going to heaven or hell. But let's say that I knew that, let's say that I knew the truth that, I believed that I would go to heaven one day for like what I believed. Not getting into specifics here, but let's just say that I believe that. And then I went my whole life. I never asked them. I never talked to them. We were best friends for the rest of our lives. And then we die. We both died at the same time, car accident, whatever.
I was terrified. I bothered everyone about Christianity because that's one of the reasons, right? Because
Oh, so you're saying that like you felt that way about people, and then you would go and talk to them about that? And then,
absolutely. As soon as I got to know them, I would ask them about it. I'd be concerned.
Dude, wow, that's actually awesome. That's very bold. I like
I
that.
don't miss it at all, Daniel. When you think half the world is going to burn or more than half, it's a terrible feeling, and you know it.
Dude,
don't miss it.
I couldn't imagine like what God feels like if he sees that like there's people that are still like stuck in like their sin, that they don't believe that.
But God controls God controls the password to heaven, right?
I mean, I think he just lets people through a gate, right?
There's a password, Daniel, and it starts with a J.
I mean, Jesus says that I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
He controls the password.
But why is that? Like, why is that the case?
It seems it's actually a mystery. This God is nothing like you or me, because out of most human beings, right? I wouldn't even consider for a second that they deserve 1 minute of hell. Right? I would just, no password. Come in, guys. Come as you are. Right? You don't need to know Jesus. You don't need to know me. Okay? I wouldn't care. Why does God care so much about people having faith in him? Does he need us? Like, I don't get it.
Let me ask you this. Would you let somebody, like, let's say somebody knocked on your door. Would you just, like, if you didn't know them, they seemed a little suspicious, like you didn't know them at all. Like,
am I all powerful and all knowing?
Say that again?
Am I all powerful and all knowing?
Yeah, let's say that you are in this case, and let's say that you are.
So I already know the character, right? I already know the character. Now, if they are turned away, are they going to go to a pit of fire?
I mean, I don't think that it's necessarily like. So here's what hell is. Hell is just an absence of God, right?
What would you rather spend an hour in? Hell or away from God in the strictest sense, or 1 hour in the brazen bull? Do you know what that is?
The brazen bull is that I think it's an old like execution method, right? Where they put a fire underneath like a bronze bowl, right?
And you're in it, and they cook you till you're dead.
Dude,
right now, 1 hour of 1 hour of hell, 1 hour of brazen bull. Which one is worse?
Brazen bull is not worse. It's not even comparable.
So then why even bring that? Look, so we can just use the metaphor of a fire, because that is whatever hell is worse than that.
I mean, dude, yeah, it's like
so we can move on. The point is that you're telling me I'm omnipotent, omniscient. Someone knocks on the door. If I don't let them in, right, they go to this place or lack of daniness, lack of godliness, which is worse than the brazen bull, unfathomably worse. All right. Now, am I going to let them in? Absolutely.
I get you. So your argument then is saying, like, if there is somebody who's all knowing, they're all powerful, like they're not loving by not letting you in. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, call it unloving, call it what you want. The point is that I'm not like God, and I don't think you are either.
Yeah, I don't think we are either. I think
you would let them in, right? You wouldn't turn them away.
Sure, because I would be able to sympathize with them. Like, I'd understand that they're really like no different than like me. If I was human in this case, like, I guess not on. Yeah, I mean, dude, I see it. That's like a really fair point, is it not? But I think that that's like where that choice is made, and that's where I think that like that big difference is because like really
Christianity would not be interesting if universalism was true, meaning everyone eventually goes to heaven. And you didn't need to have the right theological beliefs. You just had to be more or less do what God wants in terms of how you treat others and yourself. Okay? It wouldn't be an interesting religion. It would be more like Buddhism, right? Which is only interesting if, I guess you're like not, I mean, I don't want to insult Buddhists, right? But, I mean, look, Buddhism, there's a reason why, it doesn't seem like it makes a big difference in terms of your afterlife if you're a Buddhist or not. And at least to, I'm going to be reincarnated into a duck maybe, right? But I'll have another chance, I mean, the point is that Christianity is powerful because of the doctrine of hell, and it's powerful because it requires that you adhere to it to avoid hell or gain heaven, or however you see it.
So are you saying that like you have to follow like what's in the Bible like to go to heaven, or is it more so like what you like believe that gets you into heaven?
Christians say different things, right? So it depends on, if you're Protestant, right, you're going to lean on a more faith-centric, belief-centric password to heaven. If you're Catholic, faith is going to incorporate a lot of practice. So the password's longer. Longer password for Catholics and Eastern Orthodox and those apostolic. Yeah, I think passwords are shorter in Protestantism, it seems like.
Yeah. I don't think you're wrong. Here's where I like this idea. So basically, there's I'm sure you've heard about this before. Maybe you've looked into this, but there's this idea of justification and then sanctification, right? So in order, let's say like with your parents, for instance, you have to come into a right standing with your parents in order to build your relationship with them, correct?
Depends on what you mean by relationship.
Let's say you wanted to get to know them. You wanted them to be pleased with you. In order for them to be pleased with you, you would have to become in right standing with them, right?
In order to please them, do I have to do what they want me to do? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of like, so you're not required to like, I don't want to say required. I think that like the argument that, Christians make, and there's obviously like Protestants believe one thing, apostolic churches believe another thing. They all have their doctrines, blah, 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 blah. I get that. But let's just go to like the root of it. Like, let's just go like to the Bible. Let's just take it at, face value there. Let's just go by the scripture here.
Not clear to me what the Bible teaches on this issue. I'll take your word for it, though.
Sure, that's fine. So basically, you asked earlier, like, why, it was something about Adam. Like, I remember, or maybe it wasn't Adam. It was like, why, there was some question. It was like, why was he the one that had to die, right?
Oh, I don't understand the necessity of the suffering and death of Jesus. It seems like God could have made everything okay without that terrible crucifixion.
Yeah. And like, that's a totally valid question. Like, I think that's a great question to ask, because this is what it says. It says that, so sin entered the world through one man. Who was that man? That was Adam, right? God created Adam and Eve. They were deceived and they used their free will in order to actually eat from that fruit that God instructed them not to, right? Creation story, everybody knows.
You're kind of speaking, sin, you're reifying some of this stuff. I don't think free will is like a thing that like, here's my free will. I got it, guys, right? I'm using my free will now. Like, I don't think free will functions like that. Also, you're treating sin, you're reifying sin, like sin entered the world. Look, it's very basic. God wanted Adam and Eve to do X, Y, Z. He didn't want them to do ABC. They did ABC. God mad and causes bad consequences to humans.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying there. I see what you're saying there. But here's kind of the thing. This is what sets it apart from that argument. It's not so much that God was mad. It was just more so that they were no longer able to be in the presence of God, because God is perfect.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Look, if you offend me, you can be in my presence. I can do something that God can't.
Okay, but think about this. Can salt water and fresh water come from the same place? Like, do they mix? They don't mix.
Well, they can mix.
Okay, sure. Well, there's something. How do I put this? It's really hard to.
I think what you're trying to say, something like, can there be any darkness if the room is like completely lit up or something like that? You're trying to say something like that.
There can't be, right?
If the room, if God is something like absolute light, there can't be any darkness. We're dark, so we can't be in the presence of God. GG, done. Right? That's what you're saying, right?
In a sense, but I think it's more so like that fellowship. Like, I think that, so it says that like God was like in the garden with them, right?
Yeah, look, if you offend me, you can fellowship with me. I mean, I'm fine with that. It depends on the offense, right? I don't think the thing of with the Christian God is it's any offense. It's any offense. Okay, maybe I could get that there are some offenses where God puts you in a corner in timeout. Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But you're saying if God instructed you to do jumping jacks, 5 of them, and you did 4 of them, and you stopped, y'all can't hang out. Like what's going on here?
So I think here's the thing is them eating the fruit from the tree was the only instruction that God gave them not to do.
Right. So if God instructed them instead, right, to do 5 jumping jacks and they did 4, right, you get cancer and everything else in Genesis from onward, right? Is that what you're telling me?
Not in that sense, because there's so think about it this way: before there was sin, when it was just Adam and Eve and God in the garden, right? They didn't have this, everything that they were doing was what God instructed them to do. What were his instructions? Be fruitful and multiply, go have dominion over the plants, animals, beasts, go name them, right? Basically give them power to go and do all those things. But I think here's the point is the one thing, let's say that there was one thing that you told me not to do. You said,
no,
okay.
I already understand. I'm asking hypothetically, if it's the same exact Genesis story, but instead of the one command to not eat the fruit, God instead issues one command to do 5 jumping jacks. Okay. And they said, sorry, we don't want to do jumping jacks. All hell breaks loose, literally.
So there's the difference there. It's not carrying something out to completion versus doing the opposite of what he told you to do. Doing 4 jumping jacks instead of doing 5 jumping jacks. It's not
So if God said, do 5 jumping jacks, do not do 10 push-ups, and they do the 10 push-ups because they couldn't help it. All hell breaks loose.
Well, in that sense, yeah, they're rejecting.
You are not like that. I'm not like that. There's nobody in here that's like that. This is just a petty God. Petty. That's petty, man.
Well, it wasn't petty to eat the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil.
It was extremely petty.
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily petty, because here's why that's not petty. What did the knowledge of good and evil give them access to? What
I told you in my life, Daniel, I want you to, make gurgly noises like sorry, my phone did something stupid. If I asked you to make 10 seconds of gurgly noises like a toddler, right? And then you said, I don't want to do that, right? And then I kick you. Is that petty?
That would be punishment for you not doing, or for me not doing.
Daniel, the question is it petty?
Yeah, of course. I mean, in that sense.
Right. Now, if God instructed Adam and Eve to do gurgly noises for 10 seconds, and they didn't do it, and then all hell breaks loose, cancer and blah, 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 viruses and terrible stuff happens. Is that petty?
I mean, that's just not what happened, though. But I guess
I'm not saying that's what happened, right? I'm saying if God commanded the same thing I would have commanded you, that make gurgly noises for 10 seconds. If he commanded Adam and Eve to do that, they said, no, we're not doing that. And all hell breaks loose, right? Just like what happened in Genesis onward. Okay. Is it petty?
But you see here, I think that they
I just want to say yes or no and then explain.
Is that petty? Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
Ahead.
I mean, I get that. When you put it in that way, that's not a big offense, right? Not making gurgling noises for 10 seconds like a toddler. And if they didn't do that, God brought, he allowed sin to enter into the world then, and all these bad things started happening because illnesses, death, all these things, that's a result. That's from sin, right?
Yeah, but it was sinning, not making the gurgling noises.
Well, it's not so much sin. It's just that you're not carrying out his will. You're carrying out your own will.
If the command is, throw a banana up in the air, okay, and they didn't do that, would that be petty? If all hell broke loose?
I mean, dude, let's be so real. How could I say no to that? Of course.
If the command was, don't touch the banana, and they touched it, okay, and all hell breaks loose, is that petty?
No, because that's them breaking a direct command. That's them not.
They broke the direct command. The command was, I want you to take the banana and throw it up in the air, and they don't do that. They're disobeying directly.
Okay, but here's the thing: God gave them commands, and them living like He gave them the opportunity to fill that out. That was their purpose. That was their innate purpose.
You think it's petty? You think it's petty, right? If God commanded them to throw a banana up in the air, and if they disobeyed, that all hell breaks loose. That's petty, right?
But all hell would not break loose because they did not throw that banana.
Okay, but if God directly instructed them to, okay, we'll do it in the opposite way. If God directly instructed them not to take the banana and throw it in the air, and they do that, and all hell breaks loose, is that petty?
No.
Okay, so let's rewind. Let's see where the line is for you, okay?
Okay.
If God instructs them not to make gurgling noises for 5 seconds, and they make gurgling noises for 5 seconds, and all hell breaks loose, is that petty?
No.
If God says, don't blink, okay, for 10 seconds, and they blink intentionally, and all hell breaks loose, is that petty?
No. Here's why. Because they have the ability not to do that. They have the ability to follow that command, right?
Okay,
if you said something,
if I ask you to not turn on your camera, and you turn on your camera for a split second, right, and then I kick you, right, is that petty?
if I turned on my camera, you had a rule to not turn on the camera, and then you kicked me. Is that petty? No, that's not. I broke one of your rules. It's not petty. I should understand that there's consequences to my action.
Okay. Maybe I should frame it this way. Is there any rule where God could command you not to do X, where if you broke it and all hell breaks loose, that it would be petty of God to allow those consequences? Is there any rule?
No.
It doesn't matter what the rule is.
It doesn't. It just matters that rule exists.
Okay, so it sounds like you can't differentiate between a petty God and a not petty God.
No, what it sounds like is that you're trying to give like weight to you doing something or not doing something. Whereas it's not about the action per se. It's about the idea behind it. If you're told not to do something,
it's petty, man. What God wants is absolute obedience, and it's like worse than the schmotzies.
But why does he want absolute obedience?
Because he's petty. He's needy. He needs you. He wants the obedience, or he's going to go crazy.
I mean, it's not so much that he's going to go crazy. He wants that obedience from you because he loves you and because he wants the best for you.
No. Love is in the interest of well-being, no?
You don't... Wait, say that again?
Love is interested in well-being, right?
Correct.
All right. So when God commands you to not do jumping jacks, and you do jumping jacks...
Yep.
And then all hell breaks loose. Cancer, viruses, sin enters the world, all that Genesis stuff happens. You're telling me that God cares about the well-being of that human and others? Or does he care more about his stupid rules?
He cares more about your well-being.
Okay, so then why would he let all hell break loose?
Because you didn't follow what he told you to do and what not to do.
You understand that when I say allow sin to enter creation, I'm talking about all the death, disease, destruction, blah, blah, blah. Okay? All of that undermines well-being. Do we agree?
No, I don't necessarily say so. And here's why. It's because he proves his love through the sacrifice of his son, Jesus, right?
No. Does God allow cancer to enter the world?
He did, yes.
All right. Is him doing that in the interest of well-being or no?
Was Adam and Eve eating from the fruit of the knowledge
I didn't
of
ask that question. The question I asked, when God permitted cancer to enter the world, right, is that in the interest of the well-being of those that get cancer? Or
no, I mean, I see your point. Yeah, maybe I understood it incorrectly. No, that's not in their best interest of well-being. I see love and well-being.
The point is that God's sense of justice compromises well-being.
Sure, but I think you could say that any form of justice like can compromise well-being.
No. There's rehabilitative theories of justice. Those do not compromise well-being. Even deterrence theories of justice, in principle, are aimed at well-being. It's the retributivism, this is what you fucking deserve. Okay? That can compromise well-being.
Okay. So what's like, if you sin, what does that mean that you deserve?
What, according to what does God think should happen to me? Is that what you're asking?
Sure.
According to God, it's apparently without Jesus, eternal conscious torment.
No, not without Jesus. If you just sin, like what's the consequence? What's the direct consequence of you sinning? Like what do you deserve because of that? Yeah.
According to the Bible, right, it's death.
Okay. The wages of sin is death, right? So that's why you need that sacrifice on the cross.
Yeah, but why? Look, if the point is that does God have the power to be like, look, guys, some of the stuff y'all did was pretty shitty, but, you know, I love y'all so much. The majority of y'all can come hang out with me in heaven. Maybe that 1% of, you know, those dictators, the people in Germany, and that 1%, I've got something in store for you. But it'll rehabilitate you and it'll act as a punishment. But everyone else, you know, y'all stole from the cookie jar, right? You cheated on the test, right? Like, just it's fine, man. Like, just come in and hang out with me. Does God have the power to do that or no? Because I do.
You're saying that based on, like, if God is able, if he knows like everything that you did in your life, all the works that you did, all the evil things that you've done, and if he thinks that the good that you've done outweighs the evil that you've done, then should he let you come party with him? Is that basically what
I'm
you're
just
saying?
asking if God has the ability to do what I just described.
God does not have, like, sin, and God cannot sin, right? He shouldn't be able to.
Does
right?
God have the ability to forego punishment in the retributive sense for most humans?
Yeah, he did that. Yeah, he literally did that. Yeah.
No.
He did that through the sacrifice of his son, because there had to be a
but he
blood
has conditions. It's conditional, right? The conditions are strange. The conditions are that you have to have a faith in the fact that he did that. That's a very strange condition.
But why? How? I mean, dude, it is a strange condition. Like, one man 2,000 years ago, I gotta believe that this guy died and rose again on the third
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm granting that. Why is my screen? Can y'all see me? Okay. I'm granting. Oh, it's making me do a puzzle thing to make sure I'm not a robot. 1 second. Okay. All right. There we go. Look, I'm granting all that happened. Here's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If you cared about a group of people and you did something to preserve their well-being, only if they acknowledged that you did it, that they would enjoy the fruits of your sacrifice. That's weird as F.
I mean,
right? If you really love them, I don't see what difference it would make whether they actually acknowledged you doing that for them.
I think that his respect of humans' free will supersedes his love for them. Does that make sense?
What is this responding to? Did you hear what I said?
I did.
What does that have to, so what did I say that prompted that response?
So I think this is like where I think the line is drawn. It's that question of like free will, right? Do you believe that?
No. Listen to what I'm saying again.
Okay.
If I have a group, if I have a group of people that I love this group of family, or this group of people, whatever. Okay. And they were in trouble, and I sacrificed to prevent this trouble. Okay. But on the condition that, look, guys, I know y'all are in trouble, but me doing this, you'll get the benefits of my sacrifice only if you guys acknowledge what I'm doing for you. But if you don't acknowledge the sacrifice that I'm doing for you, I'll keep you in trouble. That is your God.
I mean, dude, that's honestly like, yeah, that's a fair point. Like, that's exactly like the way that it is. Because
Right,
like,
and you are nothing like that, and nor am I. Our values are antithetical to your God's.
I don't think it's antithetical. I think more so, it's not the antithesis of like who God is. Like maybe sin is the antithesis.
That, Daniel, if you were in a similar position, you would never, if you truly love the people you were sacrificing for in the most robust way, you would not put a condition that, guys, please acknowledge me while I'm sacrificing, or I'm just going to leave you to it, right? You've got to acknowledge me. Not only do you have to acknowledge me, you got to have faith in me, and you've got to worship me. And if you like anybody else, any other little g gods, right, I'm going to withdraw the benefits of my sacrifice. That is so petty, Daniel.
I don't have the power to do that because I'm not divine. I didn't live a perfect life. So
I wish you were Daniel. If you were divine, we had a better world. You're better than your own God.
See, I'm really not, though, and here's why. Because I sin. Jesus did not sin. He lived a perfect life. Therefore,
I don't care. It makes no difference to me. That makes no difference to me. Here's what makes a difference.
That's where the whole difference is.
If you got to decide who suffers eternally and who doesn't, you would not make the same judgment as the God that you worship.
So this is what I'm understanding. Like, your main issue with Christianity is the fact that you can't sit right with God's judgment, right?
No. I'm pointing out that you yourself are like me. You and I have values where if we were in God's position, we would never decide the criteria the way that your God decided the criteria for heaven. You and I...
Okay, I hear what you're saying. Like, I totally understand what you're saying. But here's the thing is, like, God, like, the criteria that is set in order for like God to let us in, it's set that way so that order can be like established, so that it's not just like this wishy-washy. Like, there is a fine line between, like, it's a very clear like answer on whether you're going one place or another. Like, that's why it's
by the way, I don't believe that, but I'm granting it. The clear criteria is that you have to acknowledge God in faith, that he sacrificed for you. Would you create the same criteria if you were sacrificing for people that you love most dearly? Would you do that?
I mean, if I was the one who created the world, if I was the one who made them, yeah, why not? Because
why?
Every good thing that ever existed came from me. So why would I not want to?
It seems like you love something else more than you love them. You love this weird ass sense of Daniel justice.
I mean, shit, dude. Honestly, if the world was up to me, if it was up to my standards, then it would honestly be a terrible world. It's like, I'm not perfect.
No. If you were would you? If God gave you omnipotence, would you change anything right now?
I wouldn't, because I wouldn't know what's best.
Okay, do you think cancer is good right now?
I think that cancer in itself, like, it is a consequence of sin. Sin is bad.
I asked that, right? If God gave you omnipotence, would you eliminate all cancer from all children? Yes or no?
I would say that God granted me omnipotence. Therefore, like, this is from God. This is not from me. Like, I would still just give it back to him.
If God gave you omnipotence, would you eliminate cancer?
Dude, why not?
Okay. Do you think that would be a better world if you eliminated cancer?
It could be, it could not be, because, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm inclined to think that yes, it would be a better world.
Is it possible if let's say I teach students, okay? I teach about, I have one of my classes about 30 kids, all right? Would it be a better or worse world if they all instantly got bone cancer?
It would be a worse world.
All right. So now there are 30 kids out there that have cancer. Would it be better or worse that their cancer is taken away or allowed?
I mean, let me ask you this: like, what? Like,
No.
why does it matter?
Would it be better or worse
Better or
that the
worse?
30 kids out there with cancer right now, whatever those 30 are, okay, would it be better with cancer or without?
They would be able to live more fruitful lives if they did not have cancer, right? Is that like they would be?
I'm asking, what is a better world? A world with 30 less children with cancer or 30 more?
I mean, to be real, it does it really make that much of a difference?
Oh, does it make a difference that 30 children just suffer terribly at the hands of bone cancer? It's only 30. What do we care? That you're acting like you're God. Stop it. Okay?
Well,
act like Daniel,
argument.
all right? Act
Yeah,
like Daniel.
sure.
Daniel, would you, even if it was one toddler, okay, with cancer, what I would do to eliminate their cancer is actually kind of scary. Okay?
The lengths that you would go to?
Yes. Now, the question is, if you were given omnipotence, the next toddler that's about to die to cancer, would you eliminate their cancer?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. Would that be a better world? Yes or no?
I mean, I'm assuming if there's, one more soul in that world that was saved, then, and God gave me omnipotence, the power to heal that toddler, and I use God's power in order to actually go and heal that toddler, and he was able to attribute that back to him, I think that, 100%.
It would be a better world.
It would be a better world.
It would be a better world. Now, it's true, you don't have omnipotence, but Jesus has it right now. Right now. Does Jesus agree with you that it would be a better world for the next toddler that's about to succumb to cancer doesn't die? Does he agree with you?
I'm inclined to think that, yes, he would agree that if that toddler did not die, in theory, yes, it would be. But you're
so in the
fact
same
that the
way, if
condition
you were
of the
given
world-
omnipotence, and you thought that it'd be a better world that the toddler doesn't die, but you just allowed it anyway. Did you make a mistake?
No.
Wait, I thought you said that it was a better world for that toddler not to die. And so you're saying if you could effortlessly remove the cancer, you wouldn't do it still.
So just because I have the ability to do something doesn't mean that I have to do it.
I didn't say that. Here's what I said. Listen closely. Okay? You already told me that it's a better world, but the next toddler doesn't die from cancer, the one that has cancer. All right? You already said that. Now, would it be good then to bring about a better world or a worse world?
It would be best to bring about the better world. I see where
Right. So to allow the toddler to die to cancer with you having omnipotence would bring about a worse world rather than a better world, right?
Sure.
Okay. So it would be a mistake for you not to intervene, right? Because that's the better world.
No. Let me clarify. I don't think it would make like the world a worse place if that toddler did not exist. I think
didn't
that
say that. Wait. No. Wait. The child that's suffering to cancer, you could end it right now. They will eventually die, but not only are you ending their suffering, right? You are preventing them from dying. You're doing both.
Okay.
All right. And by the way, the family would disagree with you. Okay, Daniel? Just letting you know.
That's fine.
All right. That's fine, right? The mother of the toddler thinks it would be a better world with their toddler. You don't know.
I mean, of course, but I mean, I think this is the main thing that you're ignoring is like, it's the actual like condition of the world, not like, oh, is it entering into a bad world, a good world? That doesn't matter.
No, the point is that when I'm showing you very, very painfully is that you would bring about a better world for humanity than whatever Jesus is doing. Okay, whatever Jesus is doing, for some, he thinks it's good, or he's indifferent to people dying like that every day, all day. Right, but you don't agree with Jesus. The funny thing, Daniel, is you don't agree with Jesus. You don't even agree.
but I do. I really do.
Okay, does Jesus think that they should be cured? Everyone should be healed that has cancer.
He thinks that cancer should not even have been there in the first place.
That's not what I asked. The question
But that's
is,
what I'm saying.
does Jesus think, what I asked was, does Jesus think that cancer, especially in children and the vulnerable, should be eliminated? Does Jesus think that?
I think, yes, he believes that it should be eliminated because he will do that one day. And he said that he will.
No. Currently, there are people suffering, there are children suffering from cancer. Does God, Jesus specifically, think that right now, within the next hour, all cancer should be eliminated?
Dude, it doesn't make a difference whether all the cancer is eliminated or not. It's still a broken world. There's still other issues besides cancer.
Okay, Daniel. So the St. Jude's Hospital, you willing to say that to them? You willing to call them up? Let's call. Give me the number for St. Jude's, and I want you to tell them that. It doesn't make a difference if the children that you're treating are getting better or not. You want to say that to them?
That's not true. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying.
You're not you don't understand what you're saying.
No, I do. This is what I'm saying. I'm saying that every single one of those kids, those toddlers, that everyone in St. Jude's Hospital, each and one of their souls are so very precious. Each and every one of them. Because I believe that God.
I'm just talking about their bodily health for right now. That's it. You're changing the subject.
Flesh, it doesn't matter. I'm talking about their souls here because their soul is what.
Hey, Daniel, stop changing the subject. Right? Is it better that their disease or disorders are healed? Yes or no?
Dude, that's an either or fallacy. If you want to talk about fallacies here, that's an either or fallacy because there's things that are outside of that that contribute into that. You have to talk you have to define.
I'll re-ask the question. Daniel, this is not a hard question. If St. Jude's calls you and says, look, we'd like a donation because we're treating these children's disorders and their diseases. And by the way, Daniel, do you think that if we succeeded in treating these children, that the world would be a better place? What are you going to say to St. Jude's Hospital?
I would obviously say that, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you heal these kids of cancer, then yes, of course the world. Honestly, wait, who knows? Who knows?
Oh, that's great, Daniel. I'm glad you support St. Jude's. Now, does Jesus agree with you that we should succeed in treating and saving all these children, Daniel?
Of course, he wants them healed, but
okay. So wait, Daniel, you're a Christian, right? I'm so happy because Jesus has all power, more power than any fucking doctor, right?
Yes.
It's good to know that he supports us. It's good to know that he supports us. So will he be eliminating all these diseases and disorders? What does Daniel say?
And then I would ask you, did you ask him to? Did you ask him with faith and with no doubt in your heart did you ask him to heal these children? Because if you did not do that without any doubt in your heart, then it's not going to happen.
I'm so glad you brought this up. So let me get this straight. Jesus is only interested in healing children whose parents asked him for help.
It's not that he's interested. It's that okay, let me ask you this.
No. Let me re-ask the question. You got caught up on the word interest. Is Jesus only willing to heal the children whose parents requested his help?
When somebody is asking for their children to be
answer the question, Daniel.
They're asking for it to be in God's will.
Let me repeat. I'm not going to drop this question, right? You will answer it. Question again. I'm not going to drop the question. It's a yes or no question. Is Jesus only willing to heal children whose parents asked for his help?
Is he willing to only heal children whose parents asked for his help?
That's the question.
So
yes or no?
Are you implying that
just yes or no and then explain?
No. There's implications.
No. Yes or no and then explain.
Dude, I'm not setting myself up in this way in order for you to explain it afterwards.
Look, if you can't answer a yes or no question, there's no point in talking.
Okay.
So I'll repeat the question. Is Jesus only willing to help the St. Jude's children if their parents or another associated friend or family member requested for his help? Yes or no?
There are kids who are healed without their parents asking.
You're incapable of answering the question, and I'm done with you because you're making me angry. It's very clear the problem. You tried to get out of my objection, if you will, by saying that, oh, did the parents ask? Did the parents ask for help? Oh, they didn't? Well, that's why Johnny, the 3-year-old Johnny, died of a brain tumor. Think about what you're saying, man. It's insane what you'll do to defend if your God exists. There's just no way your values match his. I don't think you're like your God at all. And I wish God gave you his divine powers. You would make a world a better place. Although all this apologetic stuff is poisoning your decision making and your thinking. Oh my gosh. I'm so done after that. So done. Oh, I mean, there was a couple times I just wanted to kick him because I just could not tolerate how, the palpitations. He did sound missionary trained. Motivation. Come up. Come up. Don't be a coward. How do I invite you? Get up here. How do I invite this sucker? Okay, I invited you, Motivation. Come up. Because you're kind of like a text bitch, okay? Come up. I invited you. What's stopping you? Come up. Talk. Or can you just talk with your thumbs? You declined. Of course you did. Get out of here, you little punk. I have to be careful with my language now because my freaking students found me. So I have to where's this? I would be obscenity after obscenity after obscenity blocked. Coward. Declined. Of course you declined. I don't want to see your face. Do I debate Muslims? I will debate Muslims. I don't have a problem with debating Muslims. But Muslims make a little bit more sense on this front, right? They, actually, they have the similar issues. Actually, no, they're just as bad. I'm sorry. The thing is that the reason why, because Allah evaluates the moral quality to some extent, but part of that moral quality is, again, having the right theological beliefs, which is insane to me. Okay, that's the insane part. So I just don't get it. I could get behind a God that, look, I'm going to evaluate how you treat other people, how you treat yourself, and maybe even how you treat me. But yeah, this requirement that you must believe in me and have the right theology, that's an additional criteria. To me, it's just as insane, honestly. It's any God that says you must believe in me and acknowledge me is a needy, petty God. I'm sorry. Most humans are not like that. Most humans are not like that. I gotta go. I am angry after that. Absolutely guilty. When people say that Jesus doesn't heal you because you didn't ask for it, or didn't heal your child or your loved one because you didn't ask for it, makes me really angry. It makes me like this. All right. Bye, everyone.